So after you've cut all of your signatures, you might have some places where your pencil lines are still showing up. Just take a minute and erase those pencil lines as completely as you possibly can all the way down so that they are not visible on the outside of your book. So take your time, erase any of the pencil lines off of the edges of your book. You're going to take all of your folios, and you have actually 4 signature groups. So you can see here there's 2 folios, one inside of the other. And that's the folded part. So you are going to put all the folded parts of all of your signatures on one side. And this is how you're going to figure out where to poke the holes along the length of this. Okay. Before I had asked you to go get this paper, I told you to go select some binding material. This is happens to be just some green ribbon. It goes really well with the papers that I had selected for my covers. So this green ribbon is yay wide, right? Yours might be a little bit wider. Yours might be a little bit thinner. If it's wider, you need less of them probably. If it's super wide, you only need 2, but it is a different method of sewing. If you are using 3 or more, it's pretty much the same. I'm going to show you using 3 different strips because I feel like this size of ribbon fits best across the spine of the book in group of 3. So how you place your ribbons, how they're going to, or your binding tapes is what they call them, because they could be made out of, traditionally they're made out of tape or like a very thin starched ribbon. We're just using regular silk satin ribbon. How you place them along the spine is totally up to you. If you want to make, see, I'll put this here a little bit so you can see better. If you want to make one that's close to the edge here, and one that's close to the edge here, and the middle one, it doesn't have to exactly be centered. You can do an asymmetrical balance on your book by placing one ribbon up a little bit higher. If I decided I wanted to use 4, I could lay a 4th ribbon right through here. But I think I'm going to do 3 for now, and I'm going to center it in the middle. The ones that I have on the edge, I want to make sure that when I go to mark these, that I have about a 1/2 inch or so in between the edge of the paper at the folded edge and where my ribbon is going to come down. Same thing for the opposite side. I know you can't see it in frame, but there it is. What I'm going to do is sort of set aside 2 of these ribbons because I do not require them. All the ribbon is the same width this way, so I only really need to use 1 of them. I'm going to stack my signatures and kind of tap the folded edges down against the table. This will help to seat all of the papers so that they're right down. I'll put it down here a little bit, you can see. So that all the paper is touching the inside of the fold right there. They're all real tight together. I'm going to tap it on the table just to shore it up. Make sure that that edge, all the edges of the paper are nice and flush. They're all straight, lined up together. And I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to hold it with my finger on one side, lay it across over the folded edge of the book, and hold it with my thumb on the other side. So you can kind of see I've got it on one side and the other side. Okay. Before I mark anything, I still want to double check that that's nice and straight right there at the edge. So if I pull my fingers down, you can see if I squeeze it, it kind of tightens and squishes all these papers together. That's what you want. You want it to have all those pinched nice and tight together. It'll make your life a little easier. Now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to run a pencil line straight down on the folds so that I'm making a tiny little mark on each fold right next to where the ribbon is. So I'm just running the pencil down on the folded edges of my signatures now that I've got them in a group here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm putting a little sort of pencil dot. Can you see that? A little pencil dot, and they all line up on that side. Now I'm going to move the ribbon down And I'm going to do close to the other side. So I want to make sure that, again, these are nice and straight and lined up. I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of space here between the edge of the folds, the corner of the book there, and then where the ribbon starts. So I'm going to pinch that and pull that ribbon down so that that's nice and tight right through here. You're squishing all the papers together. And again, I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to mark. Make sure that you do have a little mark on each fold. I want this to focus a little bit better. Right there, you can see that there's a little dot. Can you see that? There's a little dot on each separate folio. Okay, I'm going to also repeat that process on this side. So now I have a set of dots here on this side of the ribbon and a spot on the other side. I've got those two from where the ribbon was on the first side. Now I get to decide where it's going to be in the middle. So I'm just going to eyeball it. If you would like to use a ruler to try and measure it, you can try and do that as well. But I just like to eyeball it, just kind of figure out where halfway is in between that mark on the inside there and that mark on the inside there, and try to orient the ribbon halfway in between there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, repeat the process. Put a nice dot right next to the ribbon on either side, and then remove the ribbon. So now I have 3 different sets of dots. Okay. Before I go any farther, I'm going to hold this so that it looks like an actual book. So the way we normally open a book is that the spine is on the left-hand side and the foredge, or the front of the book that opens, is on the right-hand side. So I want to lay this on the table this way. And what I'm going to do really quickly to make sure that I have these signatures in the proper order and sew them in the proper order, I'm going to write a tiny little 1 at the corner of that first signature. So you can see that's the first one that I lifted up. That whole group of papers gets a 1 on top. Now I'm going to lift that up, or kind of scoot it over. I'm going to put a 2 for the second one down, scoot it over. Put a 3 for the third one down, scoot it over. A 4 for the fourth one down, and so on. If you have more signatures, you would continue on to number them in order. I'm then going to set aside all the other 3 that I had made and just work with 1 now. On my desk, or near to it, you should see these little foam pads. They have little push pins in them that are kind of oversized push pins. This is going to be what you poke the holes with. So you'll get one of these little foam cushions, and you'll have a push pin. When you're not using the push pin, make sure that you stick it back into the foam. Please do not sit there and poke the foam with the push pin. It's going to get tons of holes in it just because we're going to be using it for lots of classes. If you poke it too much, it kind of disintegrates the materials, so it's part of being respectful for our materials that we don't damage it. What I'm going to do now is open up, I'm going to align this way so you can see it better. Open up my signature so you can see there's my little number 1 I had put in the corner. So I have both folios, right, one right on top of the other, or inside of the other, and I'm going to try and make sure that I keep the folds aligned so that the folds are right on top of each other. The papers are perfectly straight at the corners and the edges too. All I'm going to do is open this up and lay it right down on top of the foam pad. I'm then going to take the push pin and poke right through the fold line, right through that dot that you had made. So as we go down, you poke right through the fold. Okay, so these were those little dots that we had made on the edges. Once you open up the whole signature, you'll be able to see that there's dots right on the fold line. Okay, so you're going to continue to do that for all. And you can see that that poked all the way through, and that the poked holes are right on the spine, right on that fold. If you hold it this way and you poke this way with the signature closed, you're going to end up with holes in the side of your paper. That is not where you want them. You want your holes to be poked right through the fold, all the way down. You're going to repeat this process for every signature. So start on your number 2, signature, open it up, and we're laying it down so that we can still see those marks, okay? We make sure that those folds are nested inside of each other right there. Lay it down on the foam pad and just start poking your holes. Once you've gotten all the holes poked, make sure you return the thumbtack into the cushion, set it aside. You're going to refold that back in half again. So you're not going to leave the signatures open. So all of your signatures that we numbered are going to be separate from each other. So number 1 signature is never going inside of number 2 signatures. They're separate little people, okay? They're going to lay one on top of the other on top of the other. So all of these are going to be in a stack, just like you did when you marked them. That's how they're going to get sewn into the book as well.